There's a few terms that I think are actually kind of harmful, and there's a bit of like the natural like hype cycles where, for the last 10, I could actually remember dating back to like my undergraduate days where we were talking about digital twins and BIM. A lot of the technologies that we're talking about are actually nothing new. Like 3D scanning is nothing new. BIM and just building information modeling is nothing new. Scan to BIM is nothing new. Digital twins is perhaps one of the latest like buzzwords, but I absolutely think that we've kind of reached like peak hype cycle there. Instead, what we should be asking ourselves as an industry is, rather than coming up with BIM or digital twin or whatnot, are we answering the fundamental questions that owners, operators are asking, regardless of the tool? I think a healthy way to think about this is, and I do think that the AEC industry is guilty of this, is we focus so much on the tools themselves that we use, scanning, modeling, almost as if they're like ends in and of themselves. A building owner just does not care if we use a pencil or a rocket ship or scanning or BIM. These are all means to just fundamental questions that they're looking to answer, which these questions, by the way, are never going to change. And so if you build an organization, not necessarily based off, hey, we use scanning and we use BIM and we create digital twins, but rather making sure that your organization is structured to answer those timeless questions, you're likely going to be better off. So in 5 years from now, I have no idea if we're going to be using digital twins, but what I can almost guarantee you we're going to be still talking about is a building owner not being able to easily visualize their space, or a building owner needing to have verified, accurate documentation of their footprint, or a building owner having to quantify the space, material, equipment that they own. I can guarantee you that's going to be a question in 5, 10, 100 years from now. What we'll be using to answer that question, I've got no idea. It just so happens that scan, BIM, and the combination of these and innovative business models happens to be the most efficient way to get them there today. That's a start. I know digital twins as kind of a concept has been a bit overhyped, and I think to very limited use cases. Typically, some of the prime examples tends to be in these like trophy projects where it's like, a tower going up in New York City that's like $1 billion tower. But for the 99.9% of construction and renovations, like we haven't quite cracked why people need digital twins, or frankly, how they even go through the process of buying and who needs to be involved and how do they actually interact and why they need to interact with a digital twin. I mean, similar to like most technology, I still think it's kind of relegated to like the who's in the know, but for the vast majority of people, we're still very far away from it making this data accessible and whatnot. But my hunch is it's not going to be called digital twin. And I don't know, maybe I changed my mind and you might convince me otherwise eventually, but sometimes we do have to just kind of embrace these terms as kind of like a proxy. It's like, hey, it's like a digital twin, but